Let me back up. Hi, my name is Marie Brookerson. I teach English at Lee High School, in case you don't know. I am the ELA Content Specialist. I am currently finishing up my second degree, my master's degree in curriculum and instruction. This is my practicum. So this is that part where I show you everything that I've learned. So part of my practicum was I had to come up with an issue that we could solve. It's not going to get solved today, unfortunately. It will take work, but it is something that we can absolutely utilize for next year. I'm thinking ahead. So, digital distractions is my professional development name. So we're going to learn how to minimize phones in our classrooms. Okay? So we're finding balance in the modern classroom. So my target audience is y'all, 9th and 12th grade English department. I've got 2 in the English department, yay. Administration department heads, and then my STEM Academy cohorts. My target audience for real is the entire faculty next year of Lee High School.
So that means if we do it today, we don't have to do it next year?
No. That means you're going to be an expert for next year. Okay, so we're going to start with the research. So this is from Pew Research, and they said that 95% of teenagers have smartphone access, and 72% of teachers report that cell phone distraction is a major class problem. We also know that among all teachers, 33% of them, they believe that it is a problem in their classroom. 72% of high school teachers said that it's a problem in the classroom. So we have the research, and we know, because we are high school teachers, that it is a problem in the classroom. So, first thing I want you to do, and the reason you have your iPads, you are going to select your current stance on the cell phones in classrooms. So read through those and select what you believe to be your current stance on cell phones in the classroom.
We can pick multiple answers.
No, just one. This is the AP class. We want the best answer.
I'm torn between 2.
Okay, can I see a thumbs up that we've completed that task? Beautiful. So let's see. Okay, so 3 people believe that phone policy should be standardized across all classrooms. That means whatever we're doing in Mrs. Brookerson's classroom, we are also doing in Ms. Van Dyke's classroom, we are also doing in Ms. Quartermanch's classroom. It is across the campus. So 3 people believe that. 4 people believe that phones can be a valuable educational tool when properly managed. I absolutely agree with that, except, what are we on this campus? We are a one-to-one campus. So I understand that, Ms. Quartermanch, but because we are a one-to-one iPad campus, the cell phone should not even be in the idea. They should not need them. If we're using cell phones as a technology enhancer, we already have that enhancer. We have the iPads. Okay, current phone policies are effectively enforced. Nobody chose that one. Students should have some input on phone policy. I believe that that's correct. These students, these students, we've got to remember, they were literally born with a phone in their hands. That is the generation that we are dealing with. So we have to make them understand that there is a time and a place. In the classroom is not the place. Yeah. But they do need to have some investment. We know if we give kids the opportunity to talk and to give their opinion, they're going to buy more into it. We know that. And then one person said that phone policy should be vary by grade level. I can see some positives on that one because as a freshman, they're squirrely but as a senior, we expect them to be able to handle the phone in the classroom, but they don't. It's still a distraction. Okay, next. Find the responses. Okay, so this is our current landscape. So we know the benefit of having technology in the classroom. We know that it gives them informational access. We know that it's a collaboration tool. We know that it personalizes their learning. But we also know that it's a distraction. We also know that there is cyberbullying going on campus. We also know that there's cheating that happens. Oh, let me take a picture of it and I'll share it with you. Now, I'm not saying the iPad is going to solve that, but it at least hinders it a little bit. So here is, we're going to have a 5-minute think, pair, share. So I want you to get with a partner, just an elbow partner, whoever. Get with a partner, and I want you to draw. I want you to draw your biggest challenge with a student device. Okay, so let me go to the next one. So what is your biggest challenge with the student device? You have 5 minutes and you are drawing it.
I can do partner with you too.
Oh no! Try it again. Yes. Whatever you think.
We're elbow partners, okay, the three of us. So we're like, we've got the iPad, got the thinking phone.
It's not.
Between 2 ears. That's too thick. Oh, yeah. How do you delete?
Can I undo? Where's the eraser?
You can color over it with white.
Oh, okay.
I've noticing students sometimes they'll smooth it out. And so they're just like this, they're not really looking at it.
Okay, so
And
I'm
that,
going
so
to
for
draw.
me, what I would draw is that people would be sitting. It would be the teacher standing up there,
Okay.
and then the students
And I'm
like
gonna
this
draw
under
some
the thing,
angry
and
faces.
pretending to be working, looking here, but they never look at it.
Oh my gosh.
That's all I got.
Okay, now what?
The image I was thinking was like, like literally a spark. The bullseye middle.
Angry
I'm all over the
face.
place. I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, and I can't focus.
It's whatever. Turn eraser.
Yeah, these kids don't know how to do that yet. I don't Still, and you're right,
That's why I
it's
tell you,
always
like,
different.
if it's important enough, you better sit down.
Pink Floyd, it's long and hard.
It's good to have another partner.
Well, there's different.
Hello,
I'm not really good at
Josephine.
drawing.
That's my ghost, Josephine.
Okay.
I'm not. Like, for real, for real.
That's a good one too.
Okay, now, this is
Yeah, the paranormal club came in last year with all their equipment. Yeah, she is real. She turns off my lights. Second period, she does not like second period.
And I would say what, like communication, maybe? And
2 minutes left.
That looks great. Yeah, because when they are looking at it, they're all systems.
That makes sense.
All on each one of them.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on in any case.
Okay, Stephen has a black eye.
Okay, you're not supposed to be punching your students, Mr. Perkins.
Probably frown upon that.
I told you to give me the cell phone.
Do I have to click something?
Yes.
Is it the little
I don't
arrow?
have to share it?
Oh, okay, so I wanna delete myself. Now,
Uh-oh, somebody just deleted something.
Mommy? I hope it wasn't me.
Oh, did the drawings show up on there?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
You're drawing.
Okay, but we got 1 minute and 40 seconds left. You still got a couple people?
Do
Draw.
I need to do?
Okay, so I know we still have a minute left, but I see that most of us are finished. So let's look at our images here. So a big challenge, YouTube. Right, they are on YouTube. They like to watch the videos, yes. We have an AirPod. That's what that is. That is a hairy air with an AirPod in it. We have, I forgot my iPad. Yes, I forgot my iPad.
Yes,
Peer conflict.
angry
What's
faces.
that?
Inappropriate.
Inappropriate communication, okay,
It's
okay.
peer conflict, that's the angry faces.
Think before
Yeah.
you.
They're
Yes.
not thinking, they're not thinking.
They're not.
They're not thinking, no. Here, okay, I get it. Okay, your biggest so,
Same idea, conflict and the communication, those are text message.
what's the crown?
That
Citizen teams.
conversation is their priority versus
Oh.
what's going on in the classroom.
I love that, I love that.
I don't
Yeah, he has a black eye.
Yeah,
So the headphones, yes, we've gone from AirPods to now full-on headphones.
Because it's
Yes.
noise canceling.
Yes, it does.
It's like Bob
I
Marley.
don't know, but somebody.
Medusa? Like, what is this?
I think it's just,
Explain.
Someone
Can-
hit it on the head. Oh, no.
I think it pulls them in all kinds of different directions.
I like that, yes, I like that, yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, very good, so we see that there are challenges, absolutely, okay. So next, not you, so next, stop,
YouTube can be a good thing.
stop,
Right? It's a text.
okay, next. Okay, so again, we have more research. So roughly 7 in 10 Americans, this is not only teachers, but these are parents, support a cell phone ban during class. About a third favor an all-day ban. There are schools, none in our community, but there are schools that cell phones are banned completely. They are not allowed on campus. There are some policies that allow you to bring your cell phone and then give it to your homeroom teacher. And they keep it all day. Mr. Broyles and I even talked about lockers, like we could lock them in the lockers, and then they could get them at the end of the day. But that's like an extreme, we want to start first with, let's just keep them out of the classroom. Younger adults are less supportive of cell phone bans, both in class and for the entire school day. I wonder why. Yes, don't take my cell phone. But again, it is a distraction. It is something that we do not need because we have the iPads. Nearly all Americans who support a cell phone ban cite reducing distractions as why they back it. 91% of students would have fewer distractions if they did not have that cell phone. It is researched. It is there. We have the information. Most high school teachers say that cell phone policies are hard to enforce. I think this is where we are on Lee High School's campus. We have an idea, but it's not being enforced across the board. It's working in some people's classes. Some people aren't even doing it. We know that we hear, and so in Mrs. So-and-so's class, I can use it, but here. And so we have to make it a unified thing for the campus. We cannot. We have to start holding adults accountable for what's going on in their classrooms. If Mr. Brooks, as our principal, sets a standard based on research, then our faculty needs to get behind it. That's just my opinion. Yes, Ms. Cornwatch?
I just don't entirely agree with the research results.
Okay.
Part of it is classroom management and expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I set the expectations early on the first day, that the kids are supposed to have those cell phones put away during direct instruction until I give them feedback on immediate activities after.
Mm-hmm.
There are exceptions to kids, like when all the iPads are gone and
Mhm.
they need to do their classwork, I have to make an exception there. And I appreciate using the research and I know the point of it, but I would rather have my input. I'd rather have somebody ask me for my input than just say, bam.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. So we've seen a pendulum swing from outright bans. Most of us in this room have been in education long enough that we remember when cell phones came into fashion in 07, 08. Then at that time we tried to utilize them. They're going to be in here. Everybody's going to have them. Let's figure out how we can use them. But then our district decided to go one-to-one. So again, the idea of I have to have this for instructional use, no, you have that for instructional use. We do need to talk to CTS about the lack of iPads we have on the campus. Like I only have 3 iPads. And so they're, yes, because 2 of them are broken.
So there's an inventory happening this summer. I'm not trying to go.
No, go ahead.
But I mean, that is one thing, and we are as a campus, 94% of our students have their iPads. Now, why they're not getting to campus is another barrier. But 94% is a high percentage.
Absolutely.
1,800 students.
And as soon as you notice that a student who has an iPad, because that's the first thing I do.
Well, I would like
At
to
the
know
beginning of the
who's
year
assigned one. and
Is
who
I
has
find
not.
out,
Yeah.
which kids
I
don't
never
have
know.
one, I contact the CTS person. And if I have a student that I know has, because I have a list on top of my iPad cube of kids who need to borrow from that iPad cube. And if I have a kid who's not bringing their iPad, I'm on Parent Square and saying, I've noticed that your child hasn't been bringing their iPad to school. Would you have a talk with your child about that? Because they need it every single day. Sometimes it works.
Understood.
Sometimes it works out like that. Second, many teachers report that they're spending more time policing cell phones than actually teaching. And then they believe that these devices can be valuable tools for research. We know that. The internet it's got a vast amount of information. It's also used for collaboration and even content creation when used effectively. So here is our current policy when it comes to cell phones. This is in the student handbook. So all it says is that digital citizenship will be modeled and reinforced. Inappropriate use of cell phones may result in the phone being removed from the student and held at the front grade level office for parent or guardian. Then it gives us, like, if they don't put the phone away, the warnings and such. And then back down here it says, you can see it on your screen, cell phones may be used before the first morning bell and after school. Cell phones may only be used in the classroom with teacher permission for instructional purposes. The campus principal may impose additional allowances and limits on cell phone use. Okay, so it's basically, I'm reading that as it is up to each campus is how we approach this. Okay? Yes?
Is that different from the policy that we read every time we do start testing? Is the blue
Yes.
bubble?
Yeah, that's from the state.
So it's state driven?
Yeah, this is district driven. Yeah, this is out of our district handbook. So so this is district wide. I went to the board, and so this is the legal information. Technological equipment is hardware, a device or equipment necessary for instructional use in the classroom, including to gain access to or enhance the use of electronic instructional materials or professional by a classroom teacher. Again, we have the electronics. They're in front of us. They're the iPad. Okay, we are, in case you don't know, we are an Apple Distinguished School. We are only one of 36 in the state of Texas. We are an Apple Distinguished School. We need to utilize the iPads. That's why we are given them. So, on your screen, there are a list. I want you to put that list in order. What order do you think we need to approach our policy change?
Is yours working? Is yours working?
I would take that.
You're gonna have to do this first,
Yes,
and then this.
that would be last, only if you need it. Right?
Oh, I don't see it that way. I feel like there has to be something that administration supports from the start, like whatever their expectations are, but they would need to back it up. And when you implement the rules,
So this one goes back in.
While people are working on their lists, if I could give a shameless plug.
Yes.
I'm going to be presenting a text edition and
Okay. Oh, good Lord. Okay, that is not what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so first thing we need to do is what?
Get your administrator support.
Absolutely. We cannot do anything on this campus if an administrator, specifically our principal, says that we can't. So we have to have our administrator support. Absolutely. Then what do?
Let parents and guardians know your expectations.
Absolutely. We have to come up with a policy. Then we have to let the parents know what that policy is. What's next?
have a specific place to put the cell phone.
Absolutely. Part of that policy is, what do we do with our cell phones when we come in the classroom? For example, in my classroom, and I'm an old teacher, I've been teaching 21 years, and I've been there when it was no cell phones, and now we've got them. I stand at the door and I greet my students every single day. And every single period I say, Cell phones up, folders out. They come in, they put their cell phones up, they asked, can I charge my phone? If they walk by and they do not put the cell phone up, I immediately call it, what are you doing? Well, I was gonna, yeah, or the co-teacher does it.
Yeah.
But the cell phones go here. I also have a big charging station here, or they can use the cube.
How long does it take to implement that system?
It took me about a month of continuous, because I teach juniors and seniors. My AP kids, they were a little bit more on board than my seniors.
They don't even-
Imagine that. Yeah, so, but they all do it.
Was it really?
And it was to get everybody to do it. And then what's funny is I have students that walk in the door and they turn and they look to see if I'm here, and then they put their cell phone up.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they know if I'm not here,
I'll
they,
wait
yeah.
them. I'm still here.
So that is my system. And it works. They know what to do. At the very beginning of the year, and that was what took so long, is I did assign everybody a number. So that they knew when they walked in, okay, you're number 4. Then, as the year progressed, like my little short Landry Cockrell, who has number 5, she has to go down here now. Yeah, so I let them move. But it has to be in here. If I see it, if we're in class and I see it, I call them out immediately. Like today, Juan Suarez, valedictorian of the junior class, had his phone. And I said, Juan Suarez, what makes you better than everybody else in this class? Everybody else put their phone up. He immediately got up, put his phone up, came back, sat down.
What allows that to happen though?
It's building the relationships with the students. And it's about setting those expectations, not being so overly, oh, you got to do this, but make them understand, and they do. They understand the importance of it. They understand that this is a distraction. They do.
get it back after they've finished
Oh, yeah.
assignments and stuff, and we've checked it too.
Yep.
It's not like they just hurry and finish their work and
Yep.
get it back, because we'll check through it and make sure.
And at the end of the period, I always say, okay, we've got like 2 minutes left. You can put your folders up, grab your phones.
They're slick though, because we were using iPads just like expected one day,
Mhm.
and a student right next to me. She had her cell phone out, I gently, quietly, non-verbally tapped her desk, and she complied, she turned it over. And then her text message conversation moved to her iPad.
See, that's the other thing we need to combat is how do we keep, and we do have it, but then they have the VPNs that they can get around everything. We have to figure out with CTS how we can keep this strictly an educational tool. I mean, they've already done it by not allowing them to have Facebook or any of the social media. They need to go a little extra step, in my opinion. But that's something that we got to talk about. Okay, So then the next step we do, so we've got our administrator's permission, or we've got our administrator support. We've let the parents and guardians know. We have told the students what they need to do every day. What's the next step?
Well, you put your phone away.
Yes, you as the educator must put your phone away.
Mine stays in my
It
desk.
is just as bad as telling a student, where's your ID badge if you don't have it on. Okay? We've got to lead by example.
And we do, and they understand, because when I put mine on my desk, and I talk to my cell phone junkies, and I'll call them that. I said, who are my fellow cell phone junkies in the room? And they'll raise their hands. I'll tell you who they are. I said, do you see my phone near me? And they go, no. My phone is away from me, because if my phone is near me, within inches of my fingers, I'm going to want to touch it, and it's going to be a distraction.
Mhm.
They get that.
Exactly. They understand. It's just the compliance we have a problem with. And then finally, we need to have a set plan for the students to retrieve their phones at the end of the period. Okay, next. 5 responses. Next. Okay, so now we're going to actually talk policy. So I want you to get back together with your partner, and I'm going to give you 10 minutes and a big old piece of paper. This is my artifact. Okay, so there's one. And I have markers up here. Do y'all, who's working with you? Okay, so that's Mr. B, okay, then y'all two.
Did we just switch partners? Give me one more.
Yeah, Ms. Simmons, would you come move up here? Okay, perfect.
Actually,
I just need markers.
So I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, I want you to think about these 3 questions. Number 1, What are the benefits of using mobile technology in the classroom? What are the potential distractions of it? What are the guidelines? So on your paper, you're going to write what rules we are going to use to enforce no cell phones in the classroom. What are the consequences of that misuse? And then what are some of the exceptions that we can think about? So basically, you're creating a small little policy that we're then going to share out and see where we overlap. Okay, so I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Rules for when cell phones can be used, consequences when they are misused, and then the exceptions. Okay, you have 10 minutes.
So, and that's okay.
Are we answering the questions at
It's
the
the
top, or are we
consequence.
doing the 17?
We are. You're ultimately doing what's at the bottom.
Where do you want most of the distractions, guidelines?
So what rules should we have for cell phones?
Okay, so,
I like that sitting expectation for the day. I'm trying to figure out why.
Well,
the reasoning is here.
I know, but you and I have to.
Well, you don't have to.
I wanna say it's gonna have to be at like teacher's discretion, but that's too vague.
There,
There's days when
Yeah, I don't even
we
say.
do allow that,
And that would be
subject to teacher's discretion.
And back in the past, I was.
Absolutely.
When misinformation gets out.
With no exceptions.
I remember her saying something along the lines of,
They use,
she makes like parents say, hey, the kid's not been bringing your iPad.
What are they trying to do?
If they're wanting to use their phone, or like they need to use their phone because they don't have their iPad, should they be contacting mom?
You mean the student themselves?
no, I would say they're planning, I say a lot of planning undesirable behavior.
Okay, so that is a very valid concern.
In the bathroom, between this period and this period.
Inappropriate,
Undesirable.
undesirable activities. Okay, so all of your reasoning was because you've seen things,
Yes.
witnessed things, all very
Because my perspective's different from yours.
and that's okay.
Because I'm seeing them in the office,
in a
you're
whole
seeing them in
different
the
way.
classroom.
Yeah, but you're still for the same reason.
Right.
So you have a very valid concern because they're,
Josephine.
I'm seeing, their potential distractions are that they miss completing assignments. And that has consequences.
So, well,
Because
for the
that-
consequences,
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Or I would say, yeah, right up at that point. I don't really know that it gets too far after this one. I know maybe from here to here a lot of times because even
Seventh
when the
period might
parent
be the
contacts.
exception at this point, but
Yeah, that's just because it's 7th period and we're all tired.
You can't, like flat out, you can't have
So I have to quote that.
it. I mean, if it's a consistently repetitive thing. It can't be a consistently repetitive.
Yes, I would say. Whether you look iPad, having something that you have to be working on.
We did my short answer.
So they're either not.
Because they would have the power to
But I'm very careful
Yeah. As it's written, it is.
Yeah.
it would fix it and that goes with the expectation of the class.
So when I'm thinking about the rules, one of the rules is, and I don't have, we don't have to write it down yet. The technology has got to be integrated in the lesson
Oh, yeah.
routinely,
Yes.
not daily.
Yeah.
I gotta have value. I gotta understand the value of me bringing this device every day. So
It's
that's
like if I don't have the device, then I'm not gonna be able to do my assignment, which means I'm gonna get a 0, basically, yeah. And then for those exceptions would be the kids who don't have iPads because their parents don't sign for them to have iPads, but they still have a phone. That would
There's
be
a
an
few of
exception.
those, most
There
students
are
have
just a
it.
few.
Most students have it. And then you get a list.
Yeah, exactly.
You do get a list of all the students who do have it, yeah.
Yes.
You
I
do
think
get a
so.
list.
I mean,
I think
You do
so.
get a list, we do get a list, so we know who have it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the teachers have told me before, oh, that student doesn't have it. I don't see the
They
list.
do email it to the teachers. Yeah.
They send it.
Okay, you have 4 minutes remaining. 4 minutes.
No, I think that, no, some, we've had years we got it
so I'm
twice.
trying to think about it.
No.
That's the other thing we need to talk about
They
is how do we
called
get
the
parents to not text during school? Yep. Yep.
Like, I'm sorry, maybe your kid needs to lose access to the phone. Keep
Yeah.
it home with you.
Yep. All the office. That's what we're supposed to do.
That's how we
They don't even get to walk in. Because if they do walk in, like for instance, our first and second, if they walk right past her because she's talking to another student, and she says it, then I catch them as they walk right in.
I don't call them out.
Yes.
I was just in
I'll
there.
say, hey guys, is it just for my,
I don't have a tardy. I don't have tardy students.
during your construction time until.
They get here before they.
And you know why I asked that?
Oh, yeah, and when we do have students that are tardy, they know to put it up. And I will even ask them, did you put your phone
But
up?
if the line is backed up and the bell rings,
Mine doesn't back up. They walk in and set it down.
Yeah.
Because they have to stand off to the side and turn it off.
The only way the line backs up is when they get here, because this is where they have to pick up their phone. So yeah, there is sometimes a log jam here, but no, they know. Let's share.
Yeah, that's
There we go, let's share out.
that's when other kids start noticing, oh, well, why would they get to have it?
Okay,
They do.
so we're gonna start
No, I
right
know.
here, and
I
we're
know.
going to share what we came up with. So Mr. Bookerson, would you please?
Our
Everybody's.
rule that we came up with is that cell phone will be limited to teacher discretion depending on the situation / assignment, including headphones and earbuds, whatever. Okay? As far as the consequences go, we went with the district policy for the first 3, but we added a 4th, and that could be that if it continues to be a problem, if the administrator has to get it, that the administration may be able to make the consequence more severe by not allowing the cell phone at all through the day. Okay? The exceptions is, we only thought that there would be one exception, and that would be if the student needs it for health purposes. So if they have to like check their glucose, whatever, and they have a track or whatever, yeah, and that we felt that that was really the only exception. Because I know a lot of students will tell you that if there was a shutdown or a lockdown, that they need to call their mom, and we're like, I think that is the last time that you want them to contact, because that's where misinformation gets spread.
Panic, yeah.
Yep.
The whole community.
And you get a whole herd of people out front of the building who are trying to get in.
Right, we did that last year. Yep.
I will say though, whenever Santa Fe happened, I was like less than 7 miles from my house, and I actually had family there, and I was calling those kids. They were actually running.
Right.
And one of the ladies that was killed, one of the teachers, I personally knew them. I dated her son for like 5 years, so it was a very, very close. So
Right.
I have a little bit different on that firsthand. Like I was calling family members
Right.
to say, are you at school today? Where are you? Are you safe?
But again,
You know,
those
so,
are
yeah.
very specific
Yeah, and they
emergency
were hunkered
situations.
down, and I
Yes,
was
yes.
terrified for
Yeah.
them. You know, so.
Well, while you're talking, would you like to share what your group came up with?
I'm gonna let you do that. I get nervous.
you just never-
Reading stuff. Look.
Have you done the summit already?
Sometimes. Hey, this doesn't count. We're off the track of hours. I know you are.
I will help you out. I will hold you.
Always say if I can shit, I gotta be able to shit.
Okay, so for rules, we just have, I mean, this is maybe just my class, I don't know if it's everybody's class, but technology must be integrated in the curriculum. The point we were making in our group was that if you're not using the iPads and things, it makes no sense to have them in the first place. So we have a concern that, you know, there's a lot of I was explaining that at STAR testing, I had a classroom where 12 kids out of 20 left the room because they don't have an iPad. That's a problem to me. And it's not just freshmen, I see it in a lot of different classes. And so if nobody is using these iPads in our classes, then why do we have them? So that's one issue. But as far as a rule for the cell phones in general, when I'm teaching, I don't want to see your phones and I don't want to see earbuds in your ears. I want to know that my attention and your attention are connecting and we're getting things done. So put them up while instruction's happening. After instruction, you're focused on your individual work. I don't find technology to be an issue then. It's during the first part of class when you're teaching and you can't get kids to concentrate on 5,000 things. That's what my picture was. You have 5,000 things that you're focused on and not focused on concentrating on any one of them. And so that's pretty much it for consequences. If you can't follow the first rule, or the second rule I should say, verbal warning, a simple, hey, put it up. If that doesn't work, just hand it over. If they don't hand it over, you can do parent contact and a write-up to follow that. I think that's the general for everybody in the room. Exceptions. In my class, there's definitely going to have to be exceptions. I have 3 classroom iPads. One is broken and shattered, and I've been waiting for 2 years for it to be replaced, and the other one was lost a while back and never replaced. So 3 iPads. I borrow, beg, and steal from my partners, my neighbors, and we're all doing that. I think it's just, I don't know if it's math department only, but I know that we're all,
we're all
collecting everybody's iPads and trying to keep it together. But, other than that, if you can use your cell phone with, I would have to monitor what you're doing, because cell phones, like I said, can be a distraction, but everything we do in our class is very digital. And most of you guys, same thing, it's very digital. So if you have a phone that can access the internet, it could be just as important to have a phone than it not be important to have a phone. So it's just kind of how you manage it. Some exceptions, I have a kid or two with IEPs, a couple of special ed classes and noise canceling earphones. There are some exceptions. It's kind of hard to monitor that really well because I don't really know what's going through those earphones. If they're just there to cancel out noise, cool, but I have no clue if you're listening to something or not. I really just don't know. But,
Okay, thank you. Ms. Frank?
I know, right? You did great.
We'll do the same thing, I'll hold it for you.
I don't know.
It was in her accommodations that she doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So.
Were you debriefed before?
So, our cell phone use rules were to place the cell phone in the charging station or pocket chart, and was based on your entire presentation that we need to establish that they're a distraction for the kids. So, to me, it was easier to start off with the restriction and then slowly allow permission than to allow them to use it and then try to come back and pull back on it, if that makes sense. And then cell phone use is only permitted with the teacher permission, and that's just based off the language of the handbook. And then the consequences are the consequences that are in the handbook and policy. You can't really veer away from what the district says. So verbal warning, put the phone away, turn it in to the teacher, collect, grade level office collects it, call parent, all that good stuff. And then
What are your exceptions?
We were discussing IEPs at that moment. We know they have some exceptions for this.
Yeah, I think we kind of along the lines of what Ms. Van Dyke were talking about, because I do know that they have some students that have that in their IEPs. And then I had said, like, if the iPad dies, but I don't know if that would be an exception, because Lacey said that.
It should last.
Yeah, we have chargers.
mostly all
They can
day.
plug them in. I have students that sit over there by the charging station
It would
and
be
do
really
their work.
helpful if the district kind of came up with an inventive way to.
Yeah.
I've seen them. I was wondering if that was like a thing we were gonna
with the
purchase for
numbers,
everybody,
yeah.
or.
I don't know, because I know they lock in everything, like kids have to put a code in to get their device back, so.
Yeah.
They used to have some in the commons area, like
So
years
that's
ago.
what I was
when
thinking,
first
like-
did
Yeah.
iPads, you remember
I
that?
don't know
Yes.
how much they cost, but
Yeah.
like, maybe strategically located.
They had them in the
Or even
cafeteria and
the
commons.
short, she has the short white ones that have the
Yeah.
plugs and everything all over.
And-
So you led your partner astray.
We
and
answered
he-
the wrong 3 questions. That's what happened.
It's okay. It's okay.
But it's still helpful.
It is. I will hold it for you so you can read.
All right. So we talked about benefits, and some of these are interchangeable. Benefits or pluses, educational tools, engaging for students. They're gonna wanna be on a screen. They're gonna wanna be on a screen. And I use the iPad in my classroom every day. It's an expectation that you bring it. We're gonna use it every day. It's an expectation. So when we talked about for educational purposes, that would be things like, today's example of Pear Deck, giving the Pear Deck. Padlet, I use that at the beginning of class sometimes. It's something that I can monitor, while they're doing it in real time. I used recently myshortanswer.com to help them work on a short constructed response, and then they had to look at other responses and choose which one was the best one, and then there was a winner at the end. It's kind of like gamification, but they're working and they just don't realize that they're working. Edpuzzle, but used appropriately, because if you don't use Edpuzzle appropriately, it's going to waste their time. You don't want to do that. I do a lot of online platforms, such as Common Lit, Newsella, NORAD Inc. I do Google Forms, Google Quizzes. So yes, a lot of these things can be done on the iPad, but they are also user-friendly, so that in a pinch, and some of the kids are more comfortable on that phone, I can see they're working on their stuff, they're interchangeable to do that. So we also looked at this from two different perspectives, because I was looking at it from an educator's point of view, and Mr. Lacer was looking at it from an administrator's point of view, because you guys see things that we don't see. We look at it from a classroom perspective, but you guys see a broader vision. So we also talked about distractions. They're constant. And my fellow cell phone junkies, they want to be on that screen a lot. Communication, they're using it for communication. They're texting each other, and sometimes for nefarious purposes, like planning those fights, planning those things that are going on campus, that, the tough stuff. They're using it to isolate themselves. They're using it for entertainment, sometimes during the instructional period of time, so that was an issue. They are planning those undesirable activities. And there's a fallout. They miss completing their assignments, and their averages drop, and then they want to make up all of those things at the last minute and put that back on us. And so that, for me as an educator, that's when I have to step in early and often and say, hey, and use Magic School to help you write that email to that parent and go, hey, I've noticed recently that Jamie is using her phone during classroom instructional time, and that's not the expectation in my classroom. Consequently, she didn't complete her assignment and her grade average dropped. At your convenience, would you speak to your child about not using her cell phone for non-instructional purposes during instructional time? It sometimes works. So we were off, but not entirely off. Right.
Thank you. Excellent job. Okay, so what I want you to do now, this is our last thing for today. I want you to write down 2 things. What is your action plan? What are 2 things, 2 steps that you can do today that would implement either the phone tomorrow or even for next year? Let's think about beyond. So what are 2 concrete steps that you plan to take to eliminate cell phones from the classroom? Did you write yours down, Mr. Brooks?
I didn't, because I didn't want to.
Should we not cover all the exceptions?
I do have an IEP.
I think I should rewrite it.
They've not changed in 10 years.
What 2 specific actions are you going to do? 1, create a campus-wide policy that both students, teachers, and parents are aware of, and consistently enforce the policy campus-wide. Beautiful. Establish a culture of distraction and consistently enforce the expectations, absolutely. Plan a place for students to charge their devices and a plan for collection at the end of class. Beautiful. Have a dedicated design space for students' phones in my classroom that will be used, capital, daily. May get a separate charging station as well. Communicate the expectations of no phone use during instructional time often and clearly to both students and parents if the needs arise. Beautiful. Deleted. Lunch bag. Set on their desk. Never take away the phone from the student's possession. I've seen that happen. And then replace a cell phone for a calculator. Have an assigned number. Like that. Unfortunately, I don't support a cell phone-free classroom. I believe that cell phones can be useful in the classroom and to support academic activities. They can also be helpful for students to complete their assignments when they haven't brought their iPads and or classroom iPad Cube iPads are taken. That's a valid concern, absolutely. Educate the community, stay laser focused. I like that. I will start using the phone holder I have. And I will be consistent with the plan. Love that. Educate our school community regarding the impact of the cell phone and our plan to combat the matter. Absolutely. Be consistent in our expectations and monitor the implementation. Beautiful. So with that,
So proud of himself.
so with that, that is the end of my presentation. I do have one thing else that I am going to deliver to Mr. Brooks once we have decided on our policy. Because again, this needs to be a conversation that happens with the entire faculty. So I have created a letter to send home to parents. I don't have this middle part here because that's where the policy will go in. But basically it's, we're doing away with cell phones in the classroom. Technology can and be a fantastic tool. It can make learning more interesting, help them, prepare them. That is why we have one-to-one iPads. So that technology can be a positive tool in our education landscape. However, we also know that technology, especially cell phones, can sometimes be a distraction in the classroom. Recent research shows that 68% of teachers are concerned about cell phones taking students' attention away from their lessons. Even just having a phone nearby can make it harder for a student to focus and think deeply. In a Pew Research finding, 91% of students and teachers agree that cell phones are a distraction in the classroom. So if we know and understand that it is a distraction, the clear and easy way to reduce distraction, therefore, is taking the cell phone out of the equation altogether. The policy, once we have that, will go in there. We believe these changes will help us create a better learning environment where technology is used in a way that helps all students succeed and become responsible digital citizens. We would love to hear your thoughts on this proposed changes, so please keep an eye out for opportunities to share your feedback. Thank you for your support in making our school the best it can be for all students.
I have a question.
Yes.
Before you send out a letter like this, shouldn't you get the input of the parents and the faculty?
That's for next year, yes.
And the board.
And the board, and yeah, all those good people, yes.
And the
Yes,
board.
all those good people,
Gotta make sure they're gonna support it.
yes. So, are there questions?
You did a great job.
Well done.
Another question.
That was
No,
just-
I didn't. I'm the wrong
Do you know
person.
you did a good job?
I think I did a fabulous job. I am ready to graduate. Thank you. And with that, this professional development is over. You do not have to go home, but you can't stay here.